Today, we're diving into a massive, high-stakes logistical shift in the Middle East. It honestly reads like a geopolitical thriller, but it is actively rewriting the rules of global trade as we speak. We're looking at how a singular, massive vulnerability in the world's supply chain, one that literally affects the price of everything from the gas in your car to the electronics in your pocket, is being aggressively engineered out of existence. It's a fascinating story of astronomical investments, high-security deserts, and rivers of steel.
For decades, the beating heart of global energy has routed through this shockingly narrow choke point, the Strait of Hormuz. On the geopolitical map, this single waterway gave Iran unprecedented strategic leverage over intercontinental trade and global energy markets. It was basically a geographic trump card, totally capable of triggering a global economic shutdown whenever tensions rose. But what happens when the region's heavyweights decide they just want to bypass that game entirely?
So here's our operational blueprint for today. We'll start by looking at the Hormuz choke point itself, and then we're going to break down Saudi Arabia's sweeping triple bypass maneuver, covering maritime routes, the land bridge, and the Steel River. Finally, we'll examine the regional domino effect and the massive strategic dilemma this creates for Iran. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Hormuz choke point. To really grasp the sheer scale of the solution here, we first need to understand the absolute reality of the problem.
Okay, let's dive into this. Traditionally, the old route demanded absolute 100% reliance on the Strait of Hormuz. We're talking about a bottleneck where just the threat of fast attack crafts or naval mines could instantly send global oil prices skyrocketing. But today, we are looking at a completely new reality. Saudi Arabia has essentially launched a multi-billion-dollar logistical countermeasure. It's a triple bypass strategy flowing right through the Red Sea. And it is fundamentally redrawing the map without firing a single shot.
Moving on to Section 2, Route 1, Maritime Connections. Let's see how this whole thing builds, starting with the very first pillar of this massive strategy.
The real catalyst for this new era hit the markets back in May 2026. That's when the Saudi Ports Authority confirmed that the Jeddah Islamic Port was no longer just some ordinary regional stop. Backed by literally colossal investments, Jeddah was officially connected directly to the world's most critical megaports. This created an absolute earthquake in international maritime logistics. I mean, the arms of the Red Sea now extend directly into the heart of Asia and Europe.
Just look at the specific network of ports that have opted into this bypass. It's fascinating. Starting with China, we've got Xiamen, Nansha, and Yantian. Now on paper, Beijing is Iran's biggest strategic ally, right? But a war on Hormuz? That would be a literal dagger to the Chinese economy. They desperately need uninterrupted Middle Eastern oil and a highly secure path for their electronics exports. So by jumping on this Saudi route, China is clearly prioritizing commercial survival over political alliances. Then you have Japan, Kobe, Nagoya, Yokohama. Japan absolutely cannot leave its 16 million tons of strategic reserves hanging by a thread. This route ensures those reserves stay completely protected. And finally, Europe. Southampton, Rotterdam, Hamburg. This acts as a massive insurance policy for Europe's heavy industry, keeping intercontinental trade completely shielded from Middle Eastern conflict zones.
All right, Section 3, Route 2, the land bridge. Because securing the sea, that was really only Phase 1. Saudi Arabia also signed a truly revolutionary agreement with the global shipping giant MSC to basically conquer the land. This breakdown brilliantly illustrates the second phase, the hybrid route. It's like a logistical marvel. Step 1, ships completely bypass that dangerous journey around the Arabian Peninsula and just dock directly in the warm, safe waters of the Red Sea at Jeddah and King Abdullah ports. Step 2, giant cranes and autonomous systems rapidly offload cargo onto these colossal, high-security truck fleets. Step 3, these trucks act as a literal steel caravan driving straight across the desert to Dammam on the eastern coast. And finally, Step 4, from Dammam, fast feeder vessels distribute the cargo right into the Gulf. So everything from high-tech systems to automotive parts flow through this network, completely and totally skipping the Hormuz waters.
And guys, the scale of this operation is just unprecedented. It's a 1,300-kilometer high-security land bridge. Tracked instantly by satellites, this overland sprint effectively resets maritime travel delays to zero. By cutting straight across the landmass, European goods arrive in the Gulf in a fraction of the time, with zero, and I mean zero exposure to geopolitical choke points. This is Vision 2030 actively turning the country into a rapid transit global hub.
Which brings us to Section 4, Route 3, the Steel River.
This is the third and, honestly, perhaps the most secure layer of Saudi Arabia's strategy.
Meet PetroLine. Now, this isn't just your standard pipeline. It is an impenetrable energy shield woven from steel. PetroLine transports the black gold extracted from those rich eastern fields directly across the country, right under the desert, to the highly secure Red Sea port of Yanbu, which conveniently opens right out into the global oceans. And because it's such a vital lifeline, the entire region is masked with the world's most advanced air and missile defense systems. It is entirely shielded from battlefields, fast attack crafts, or naval mines.
And the capacity here? It's staggering. We're talking 5 to 7 million barrels per day. To put that astronomical number into perspective, during the severe Hormuz crisis back in 2026, this colossal facility operated at full capacity, proving its absolute worth to the global market. Energy-hungry giants can now purchase their oil directly from this pipeline via the Red Sea, which effectively erases the Iran risk from their supply chain calculations entirely.
Next up, Section 5, the regional domino effect. Because look, when one major player builds a secure fortress, you better believe the others notice. Saudi Arabia's triple bypass has triggered a massive chain reaction across the Middle East.
Let's look at how the economic map of the region is literally being redrawn right now. The United Arab Emirates has aggressively pursued its own bypass, building the 380-kilometer 80 COP pipeline. This takes oil from Habshan directly to Fujairah on the Gulf of Oman, allowing the UAE to export completely outside the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, Iraq is stepping up with a mega-budget, $24 billion project called the Development Road. Think of it as a 21st-century Silk Road, moving goods from Basra all the way to Europe via Turkey, entirely sidelining the sea route. And even smaller, wealthy nations like Kuwait, Qatar, and Bahrain, who were previously captives of their own geography, are rapidly integrating into these new networks. The entire region is becoming extremely solution-oriented, actively stepping out of the shadow of crisis.
Finally, Section 6, Iran's strategic dilemma, which brings us to the strategic aftermath. With this massive logistics network now established, what happens to the key actor who historically relied on that geographic choke point?
That is the ultimate question we're left with today. Iran is watching its historical geopolitical leverage, that constant threat to close the Strait of Hormuz, just completely slip away. Global trade has successfully built an expansive workaround, bringing immense logistical isolation to Tehran. So will Iran accept this new strategic paradigm? Or, looking to counter this isolation, will it deploy new proxy tactics to disrupt these unshakable security corridors connecting Asia and Europe? The board has been permanently reset, folks, and the next move is absolutely going to define the future of the Middle East. Thank you so much for joining me. Keep your eyes on the map, and we'll see you next time.